So as I mentioned, of course, these teams will be Big 12 opponents soon enough. And speaking of future conference opponents, College Game Day will be in Tuscaloosa this week for the battle between number 3 Alabama and future SEC foe Texas. Longhorns are ranked 11th. Last year, this turned out to be a close game. I would say surprisingly close, in my opinion. As the Tide survived 20-19 on a last-second field goal, or maybe 10 seconds left. So what do you guys think? Are we getting another, classic game this time around? Any chance the Longhorns can get some payback?
It's tough. Alabama's tough, right? Like even if they're not like quintessential Alabama this year, like they just have so much talent there. And then man, they looked good last week, right? That new quarterback they've got just looked incredibly dynamic. So no disrespect to Texas, but like I just you can look at the schedule any week, right, and say like, is that team going to be able to keep up with Alabama?
Go ahead and disrespect Texas. We don't care.
So I'm certainly not an expert, but I just looking at it from afar, I'm like, man, that talent that Alabama's got is just pretty damn good.
Yeah, no doubt. Zach,
give me the Longhorns. I mean, I'm
really?
I'm all in on Texas. I think they're really good.
Oh my gosh, there's a guy who lives in Austin still.
Yeah, maybe there's some of that. Maybe there's some. No, I just think that Sark knows that quarterback Milroe really good. He's from Katy, near Houston. He recruited him to Alabama. And I think that I just really like this Texas team. I think that they're deep in all the right spots. Offensive line didn't necessarily play the best against Rice, but they're really good just everywhere. And I think that they stood toe to toe with Alabama last year, and I think they're gonna get over the hump this year. And
yeah, so I'm not drinking the burnt orange Kool-Aid, but I never am really. I think my phrase I've used on this podcast a lot of times is perpetually overrated. I mean, that's been the Longhorns sort of MO these last several years. They're gonna have to prove it to me. And truthfully, last year, I don't want to say that was the high water mark for them losing by a point to Alabama, but it wasn't necessarily, a harbinger of things to come. I mean, they had ups and downs and they were kind of all over the place. So, give me Alabama at home. Maybe it's closer than I think, but I think that's a tough place to go win, as Eric alluded. I mean, and quarterback looked good for the Tide. So, yeah, I'm not buying the Longhorns, but we'll see. If you called it, Zach, I'll be quite impressed. So.
I think I was the only one of our Trib staff to pick Duke, so
there you go.
I had that going for me, and I picked Florida State. So not that
nice,
was a huge upstate, but yeah.
Well, if you start throwing out our picks, then
I also picked Baylor.
You're really going to show how little we know,
right? I picked Baylor, yeah.
So
Eric, me being an NBA guy, I'll invoke I'll paraphrase that infamous rant from Rick Pitino back in the day. Vince Young is not walking through that door.
That's right, baby. That's right. Vince Young is not walking through that door. Yeah, that's great.